This next guest, I'm really excited to bring on here, and so let me do my magic here. Yeah, okay, that's going to work. If I push this button, now it's going to work. Let me bring on Barbara Carnero to the conversation. Good morning. Well, actually, good afternoon to Barbara. Barbara, how are you doing?
Good. It's good to see you.
Good. So Barbara is Barbara's in Barcelona, outside of Barcelona.
Yeah.
Spain, and so it's 2:30 your time, 3:30,
3:15, yeah.
3:15. Okay, so Barbara received a very frantic text from me in WhatsApp early in the middle of the night. We had some major tech issues. I screwed something up at about midnight last night Eastern, and I was freaking out because I wasn't sure the stream was going to work. And so Barbara is the connections and communications director with theChurch.digital. And so, in addition to that, she runs an agency called Word Revolution. But from a leadership standpoint, Barbara came on January this year, early this year, right?
Yeah.
And really, I say this: Barbara is the best organizational move that we've done in 2024. I don't know if she is as enthralled with how 2024 has looked, because we've caused her a lot of work and a lot of headaches along the way, digging into some really difficult areas here at the Church Digital. But she's new website, two new communities, new strategy moving towards digital missionary, and there's other things in the pipeline. I'd like change in my life, and people usually, once they work with me for about 6 months or a year, they want to run away, because it's like, I can't keep up. It's too much, Jeff. It's too much. And it's been so much fun because Barbara's like keeping, I don't know if she's enjoying it, but she's keeping stride with me. And so it's fun running with somebody, rather than running by myself. So Barbara, thanks for jumping on with us today.
Yeah, no, it's been a fun ride for sure. And talking about tech issues, we already have the files for you to fix that link in the bottom there, so we can get all of the donations today.
You were saying there's something that's broken. It's not working on the stream.
No, the link in the background. We need to make sure we got that one right.
Oh, so if it clicks on it, they'll go to it. Is that what you fixed?
No. You have to replace them. The backgrounds that you were using now in the live stream.
It's not showing up. It's working fine for me.
The one that says in the actual video.
Okay.
It says theChurch.digital.com/give is not our URL.
Oh my gosh. Now I see. Oh my God. I'm like, what are you talking about? Everything's fine. Don't make my life difficult. I did not.
We don't own digital.com.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, we've been trying to text you about your warranty. You're not answering your text.
I've been seeing, honestly, I saw some stuff come up. It's like, about, new backgrounds are available. And I'm like, what's the problem? I don't understand what the problem is. Why is she, what's the, You know what? If we could afford digital.com, we would not have a lot of the problems we have today. Barbara,
know, right? Yeah.
Thank you for being proactive and catching that mistake. I'm glad
I'm number 2, because you weren't answering your text, so we're like, hey.
Alice in the Palace. Alice, thank you for the comic relief here. She's saying in Twitch, that site says, we're having problems finding that site. Yeah, to the churchdigital.com/give. The church, I'm going to type it in chat for everywhere. The actual link is the church.digital/give. I will get that fixed at some point.
You have it on your end, so I can talk enough to you. You can fix it.
Okay, good. It's in. All right. So I tell you what, I'm going to throw you the softball
There you
and
go.
let you just go, because the first question's a little doozy. Um, Talk to us about the archetypes. So
Yeah.
like there's some stuff that like I said, it's going to be a softball for Barbara. There's some things that Barbara has said to me, and I literally, my head explodes conceptually, because stuff that I should know and stuff that I understand just is made suddenly clear. And so that's what really what Barbara is going to bring to this here. And one of these is through the archetype. So Barbara, why
Yeah.
don't you just talk a little bit about the 12 archetypes here while I download some files and try to shift some stuff around. All right.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, one of the biggest studies that I've been doing for the last maybe 4 or 5 years has to do with like psychology and how people respond to things in marketing, communication, branding, and one of the realizations that I've arrived that I was able to come to is this idea that what drives people to a church or to a pursuit of spiritual questions or has to do with the key human desire. So there's something that is missing or they're pursuing that drives somebody to pursue a conversation or even embrace a conversation. It doesn't matter if it's happening at a physical space or a digital space. And so we all have key human desires that will trigger an action or receive or allow us to receive the conversation. And so not everybody's pursuing the same. And I can give you some examples just to put kind of like a little bit of a foundation down. Like if you think of a church like Tim Keller's church in New York, this is an example that I use often because it's a church that would naturally be associated with the pursuit of truth. So the audience that attends, the people that would be interested in that type of presentation are most likely pursuing truth. Now, does that mean other churches aren't teaching truth? Not at all. Does that mean other scenarios are not about truth? Not at all. But there's a key human desire that drives people to engage in, hey, let me listen to somebody talk about theology, explain the Bible, and all that kind of stuff. But then you're going to find that there are other key human desires that sometimes are maybe in my life might be more important than truth in that moment. Like, man, right now, you know what? I just need a little bit of hope. I just need to figure out, like, is there anything beyond what I'm experiencing right now in my life? Maybe it is a search for belonging. Maybe it's a search for, maybe, it could be anything. So think about how humans relate to one another. And there's a good chance that there's a key human desire that is driving you to even engaging in anything that has to do with faith. And so, okay, now giving you a little bit more time to change those videos. Okay. Oh, you got it. Look at you, super fast. That
Yeah,
was that was
it'll be a process, but keep going. Keep going.
There you go. That was smooth. That was smooth. So, if that is true, if people are either going to churches or open to spiritual conversations because of a deep human desire, then obviously this is going to be for me an obvious conclusion. There's no way that one single expression of faith can answer all of those key human desires. It's just not possible. And so you're going to have churches that are more focused on the truth. Some churches are more focused on hope. Some are more focused on belonging. And again, you will have a combination of all of these, but there's always going to be something that you're going to be more prone to doing. And maybe some of you have heard people say, hey, they weren't feeding me enough. And so maybe they were pursuing truth and your church is more focused on belonging instead, or more focused on discipleship and a sense of intimacy, or more leadership. So I gave you the example of Tim Keller, but if you go to Andy Stanley's church in Atlanta, which is some that we know, many of us would recognize, we're talking about what we call a leader church. That's a church that is focused on building leaders, creating leaders, developing leaders, and growing them, equipping them. And so there's a combination of things that will drive people. Now, just remember, there are demographics around your city that in many ways could dictate some of these, right? Because if you are in a poorer area, Maybe people are not necessarily looking for leadership stuff. Maybe they're looking for hope and belonging, and anything that has to do with like, what was the miracle that the miracle that I'm hoping for, where is that going to come from? And then in areas that are more affluent, maybe it's more about the truth and something else. So look at these from that angle, and you're going to start noticing how immediately there is a space for digital there. Yeah. Oh, you're muted now. I think you're trying
Sorry,
to mute.
my dog was barking, and so that would be the bad dog, not the good dog. The good dog's standing here next to me saying, "Daddy, that's not me barking. It's the other one." So no, that's so good. Now, in the 12 archetypes, there's an archetype quiz, churcharchetypes.paperform.com. I'll put it in that you have up there. That really helps organizations define, who they're trying to reach, and what their presence is. Maybe just give a quick highlight on the 12 in the quiz.
Yeah, so the idea is that there are 12 archetypes based on 12 key human desires that humans naturally have. I'm going to have to put a cheat sheet up here for me, because otherwise I will not remember all of them. But here we go. We have an idealist church, which is focused on the goodness, like pursuit of goodness. When it comes to your life, like the key human desire would be goodness. We have the teacher church, the pursuit of truth. We have pioneer churches that are focused on, the pursuit of freedom. And again, freedom can be understood in a very strange way here, but let me describe it to you so you will see what it means. It brings new ideas to life to create a space for others to experience faith. It offers them a place to escape previous ideas about their spiritual life. So if you had a specific way that you thought this is how spiritual should be, and it's opened up freedom for you to explore it differently. This is where you can see people, for example, that were either raised in a certain way, even maybe in a Christian setting, but that was maybe not the best, but also coming from other spiritual expressions. Okay, we have a revolutionary church. Those are mostly looking for belonging. It sounds interesting because you hear every single church talk about belonging, but the church that really cares about belonging as the key human desire is actually a revolutionary church, because these tend to be the churches that speak to those on the sidelines. We're talking XXX church, we're talking metaverse churches, we're talking, anybody that is including those that seem completely like misfits, that anybody would consider a misfit. So catalyst churches are focused on hope. We have, this is very common, like Louis Giglio, Tony Evans. Rescuer church is actually focused on a sense of confidence. This is David Platt's church. A partner church is focused on deep connections. So connection is that deep expression that they're pursuing. We have an enthusiast church, believe it or not, they exist. If you've ever seen Bob Goff, he's an exact representation of what an enthusiast leader would be. And this is the pursuit of joy. Friend church is a very, very common, a great expression of this is Max Lucado. And this is associated with the key human desire of acceptance. I'm pursuing acceptance. You're going to have a lot of smaller local churches that are generally what we would call a servant church. They're very focused on protecting others, helping others, social causes, and the key human desire is just support. I mean, these are the churches that are feeding the people. They're coming in for food, clothing, that kind of like basic stuff. Leader churches are generally satisfying a key human desire of significance. Again, I mentioned Andy Stanley's before, Craig Rochelle, Carrie Newhoff. These are great examples of a leader church. Visionary churches are focusing on the pursuit of revelation. So these key human desires is what will drive people to either go and pursue something or be receptive to something. Again, either in a physical building or in real life or online.
Yeah. Love all of that. And for me, the revelation is, we're a rebel organization, the Church Digital, and there's there's pros and there's cons to that. Like there's strengths to lead into, but then there's the weakness side of this is something to consider as well. And just to clarify, hey, it's a rebel. It's okay to be a rebel. Here's the strengths of this. Lean into this, but just be aware of the flip side was something
Yeah.
that was very helpful for
Mhm.
to work through. And it's funny. Barbara and I, among all this, the senior leadership of the church digital, and I've told her this, like we probably, the two of us probably butt heads the most. We're both rebels, but she, when she butt heads, like when she like leans into something, she's following kind of the paradigm in that model. And it's usually me kind of wavering. It's like, yeah, I know I'm a rebel, but I want to do this, and I want to make everybody happy, and I'm falling back on that. So hey, on the 12 archetypes, let me just do this. There's a link in chat for everybody to a Resi blog that you wrote that's really good on this. But Barbara said the one thing, like in Barbara, I have a saying that if it's tattoo worthy, like with all the interviews and the podcast and everything, if there's a takeaway, like line, phrase, a drop mic moment, that's powerful enough. Is it powerful enough for me to put like that phrase on my body, which mean I would tattoo the name of the person who said it on my body as well. And your tattoo worthy moment for me is no one's ever disappointed from nuancing too small. And like that has been the most difficult thing I've had to execute, realize, understand in 24 totally. But it has been the most impactful and game changing
Yeah.
revelation as well. Let me say it again. There's no one's never disappointed by nuancing too small. Barbara, do you maybe want to just take a minute or two and dig into that?
Yeah, and as an agency owner, I talk to agencies all the time. I train agencies, and so one of the biggest things that people ask me is like, well, if I niche, am I going to only work with one type of client, and I'm not going to be able to work with anybody else? And this is actually a fallacy. So by narrowing down your focus, you're not saying I'm only going to work with these people. You're still going to work with whoever comes your way, and so you have whoever coming for support towards, let's say, TCD, right? So the Church Digital is actually resourcing different types of people, and they will still find you in many ways. What we're doing is, from a communication standpoint, we're creating a fast track for one of those groups, because you can't fast track them all at once unless you have 4 times, 5 times the budget, the time, the effort, the money, the people, right? So if your resources are not that, which generally they're not, then we need to go as narrow as we can and basically say, okay, I'm going to fast track one of these groups towards us, and then we can master another one and another one and another one. But by saying I'm going to fast track one group towards me, I'm basically removing the barriers for that group to come to us. That's going to be true for anybody that is doing digital ministry. It's going to be true for anybody in any church, because what you're doing is you're basically saying, I am going to remove barriers from this particular group of people so they can come to us faster. Yeah, that's the only thing we're doing. So we're going to remove those barriers. Paul said something similar to that. If you go to the Bible, you'll find
Yeah.
it, right? So I'm going to figure out, like, what is it that is making this particular group not coming to me fast enough? And so I'm going to give you a fun example that I give to the agencies, because I say, I don't know if you know this, but there's an origami convention that happens in New York every year for 2 to 3, I think it's 2 to 3 days, and it's an expensive convention. There are people buying flights, hotels, buying booths, and doing all sorts of things for origami convention. Okay, so it's like, that is completely validated if somebody has made a whole convention around it, because there's enough people willing to spend money to go and do that. So listen, there's no fear in being as narrow and as specific as you can be, because when people see you, nobody's going to be like, well, I like origami. I wonder if those guys, like, it's just like, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So If you're looking at digital church, digital missions, there's no doubt when you look at DCD that that's what we're talking about. And so it creates a faster track for those that are looking for those things. And that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that no obstacles are there for them to find us. Yeah. So we're creating a clear path. It's
Love.
narrow, but it's clear.
Yeah, and really that's the heart behind when I said earlier on the stream, the church digital, we're not, it's not a mega church mentality with digital. It's small, scalable, reproducible, and trying to create missionaries with a target audience and a target focus. If you try to reach everybody, you reach nobody. But if you try to reach a somebody, you reach a whole bunch of them. And
Yeah.
so understanding that ideology, I've never heard of the origami conference. That's I got to look that up. I'm going to steal that as an illustration. I'll give you credit. But it's so fascinating to realize that if we try to mass communicate to a whole bunch of different, and this was so difficult for me to understand. I fought
Yeah.
this, but it's true. If we try to do everything for everyone, I had an executive pastor friend of mine who used to say, Jeff, you want to make everybody happy, sell ice cream. Like there's no way to make everybody happy. But if we narrow in and focus on that, and so part of that, getting that idea out, training that to missionaries is so important to help them be effective in what they're doing digitally. So, hey, Barbara, you know this. As we're wrapping up here, I've got to ask you a couple questions that I'm asking everybody up here at the top through this. And Barbara's team's going to do phenomenal stuff with this after the fact. But right now, can the church exist digitally?
Yeah. Digital is the ends of the earth. That's my answer to that question. So, yes.
Okay. So it'd be the ends of the virtual as well as the physical earth. We'll just roll with that.
It's the ends of
Um,
the earth.
Beautiful. And then can missions be digital?
Absolutely. I think they already are. I think there's there are already relationships happening online. There's already people online. And so if you recognize that people exist online and relationships happen online, I would not exclude the gospel from it. So I just need to assume that if people are there and relationships are being built, the gospel has a place in it. In fact, it should go ahead of it. And so for me, it's a clear yes. I don't think it's wise for us to say, well, the gospel only goes this far. If it's not physical, we won't take it there. So don't
Yes.
limit it. Let it go. Yeah.
That's beautiful, Barbara. Thank you for the time. Appreciate you sticking around or hanging out with us this morning or afternoon and